Hey guys, Sorka, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2. Let's carry on where we left off. It's the 4th of November, 9:30 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. We managed to fish out Jigoku from the SS Grouse over at Dover. And, well, obviously we had to postpone the trial by a day, as he needed to get back to London to answer a few questions of mine. As this case gets spicier and spicier, we found out that Kazuma may not have gone to Britain on a student exchange, but rather an assassin exchange. It's not a program you hear about a lot, but apparently it's common in government channels, so he's got a lot to answer for, really. All I know for sure is that Van Zeeks is innocent as hell, so we're gonna have to defend him with our life here today. Preparations have been made, apparently, by Sholmes and Iris. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. Almost like that's what a trial is for, right? To determine what exactly happened and whether someone's culpable or not. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Yeah, I needed to stand up too, honestly. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, don't worry about it. This is a one-off. This doesn't happen often. That we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Okay, well, Strongheart seems very, very sure of himself. I don't know if he seems like a guilty guy anymore. Like, I just want to know what happened, okay? Is Kazuma guilty? Are you actually an assassin, dude? You were my best friend. Resolve. Yes. That's my intention. He's probably thinking the same things, I just can't read his mind. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? True. Because we have nobody else. And for dramatic flair, he has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. Just 1 day? You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. Kazuma, whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. So you'll die like your father did? Goodness. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. He's nonplussed. Kazuma's bristling with hostility today. Yeah, I think he had a bad breakfast. I get the distinct impression we're heading into very dangerous territory. Yeah, man, we're gonna need to steal our heart here. Things are about to get emotional. Is that even really Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. I mean, it's a closed trial as well. Like, do you really have time to vet another prosecutor worthy enough to come in? Then again, these are the same guys that gave Seishiro 30 minutes to be found before they declared him legally dead. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. Yes, my lord, I'm ahead. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Baroque Van Zeeks. Oh, that music. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Let's get to the good shit, gentlemen. Prosecutor Asogi, begin! As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last, then. We've reached the final battle. I swear to God, he's gonna smash the witness stand again, isn't he? He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Ow. Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Oh yeah, it will. I'm ready. My body's ready. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena. I did what was necessary. Well, look at what the young man has become. This is why you were always my favorite, Kazuma. I didn't think I'd see the day when you'd take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. You're in British court now, man. My name is Seishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I telegrammed him. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation, or as we call it, the AJTOFAN. It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here, of all places. So, well, keep that seal of resolve. You acquitted me, yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. You fucking coward. Yeah, that's right. I can talk shit too. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. No. You don't object here, okay? I do the objecting. You're just a witness. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? You can't do that. That's illegal. Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? Oh boy, you're getting on Strongheart's bad side? Ooh. Damn. Jigoku, I can't believe you. I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. Well, I can't wait to present this telegram. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon. Is that a woman in this courtroom? We don't do that in Japan. No. No siree. This guy's a piece of work, even though I'm feeding him lines. This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right. And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Man, just like, who's going to be my target of ire today? It was Kazuma yesterday, now I'm over at Jigoku. Let's see your evidence then. What proof do you have that Seishiro Jigoku is involved in this case?
Take that!
Right here. This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. Oh. You little shit. Oh, there it goes.
Where did you get that?
In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku.
What? How on earth did you?
What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? I mean, I'm presuming it's your name. It just says K. Asogi. This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins.
No.
You idiot, Jigoku, why did you keep that telegram? A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson. And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson. I'm starting to wonder why Strongheart allowed Kazuma to stay after he washed up ashore, basically. Almost like he wanted the assassin to carry out the job. K. Asogi and T. Gregson. 1 assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other.
What exactly is the defense suggesting?
These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill.
What?
Ooh, on the back foot, are you, Kazuma? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Yeah, stroke your evil beard, you bastard.
Judge Jigoku, what's this all about?
And you, Kazuma, you lied.
Huh?
During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Mind you, we don't know it's a killing contract, but we can't deny that there's a gunshot in Judge Jigoku's cabin aboard the SS Grouse, no? Something happened there. Very impressive, Ryunosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Seishiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. Oh, okay. Alright, fine. You deliberately avoided saying a name?
The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself?
Do you still decline to comment? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse.
Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court.
You want to get tried for that again?
There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then, as a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear. About the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord.
Here he goes. Strap in, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. Ooh, okay. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. No. If there'd been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved. Okay, a layup to start off with. I like it. So you admit it then. As this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels. Not something I can discuss here. It's a closed trial. To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge when you're not a judge. Pardon? Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. Oh yeah, he's the one who persuaded Wilson to conduct the autopsy, right? So Kazuma might think that Gregson's partially responsible for his father's death. What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? I decline to comment. Kazuma-sama. Fine, I'll be the only one who talks around here. Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. Huh? As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. Because if he had been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Baroque Van Zeeks. Oh my god, guys, what the hell? He's so far removed from all this. He was at the gentleman's club. Obviously not having a good time, because he's above that. But Jesus Christ, man. Gregson was killed in the cabin. His body stuffed in the refrigerator until you guys arrived here. His body was here in this trunk on the bottom left. That's what the significance of this picture is. And that's why that's there. I can't believe it. I'm standing right next to Gregson. And then his body was deposited somewhere. Fuck. God. I can't believe you guys are trying to get away with this. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. Conveniently, we are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Oh, I'm gonna bust this whole thing wide open. Don't you worry. This is just the first step. Yes, my lord. Out of my head. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Do I go straight for it? Do I dare? Am I rushing into things? The assassin exchange. Let's go. We're wasting no time here. No time shall be wasted. Evacuation drill.
Objection.
Done. You're gonna have to try harder than that, Judge.
Yes, as the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that, contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st.
Where did you get that?
Where do I get a lot of things? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You know, the guy with the colorful stories. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. You didn't hear him rummaging through your bin while you were tucked away in your suitcase?
Herlock Sholmes again.
According to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., and for a period of 20 minutes, all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts. And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, stop lying, you fuck. You had ample opportunity to commit the crime. Oh.
Objection!
A 20-minute window of opportunity. That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. Why? It's 20 minutes! Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin.
Oh, so we just believe him. Sorry.
Okay. Unless you have some decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture.
Dude, they literally found a bullet hole in the wall. Very true. Well counseled.
I've had it up to here with these guys. Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night. I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it.
You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Judge Jigoku's cabin on the 31st October?
We're going for the small component here because I can't point out the bullet hole.
Take that!
Yeah, I'm on a roll today. Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday.
What is that? The crown of a pocket watch.
A pocket watch? I feel like, actually, because Jigoku actually said he was surprised to see that piece of machinery there, right? I mean, yeah, Gregson must have been killed there. Sorry, never mind, I'm rambling. I was thinking something else, but don't worry about it. And if you will observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, is missing precisely that part.
It can't be.
Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. Actually, now going back onto my thing, it was retrieved from his luggage. And if his luggage was used to transport Gregson, it's conceivable that it would have fallen off while he was in the bag, right? In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill. In the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku!
Well, you're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer?
No. I was acquitted. You're not.
Objection!
Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. Well, like all your arguments. But rather like this pocket watch. It's full of cracks.
What?
And I believe Judge Jigoku feels the same way. Don't you, Judge Jigoku? You do, don't you? Wink, wink.
I was wrong to acquit you earlier in the year.
You dickhead. Sorry?
If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world your ridiculous bombast.
Okay, I see how it is. Yeah, you are corrupt.
I think it's clear that Japan has a lot to work on in its law department, and that the witness will have to give further testimony.
When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night,
you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Well, I wouldn't have stumbled into it if you'd been up front with me in the first place. God, I'm so angry today. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony about what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of the 31st October. Of course, as a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice, even though I just did, like 3 times. Let's hear it. Give me another good, easy one. The events in the cabin. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with an ippon-seo throw, though. He couldn't wait to run away after that. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain, because his body was found in London. Okay. Ippon-seo. Seo? A common jujitsu martial arts technique in my country. Was that jujutsu? Sorry, I can't remember. Never mind. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? Oh, so how did you know this, huh? Jeez. What? I haven't even cross-examined him yet. Give me a break. The fact that the pocket watch was broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place there. Ah! Yeah, I know. But I do have the refrigerator. I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. I guess he's just not good enough to, pull a trigger. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. Really? Why do you have to be so good at killing to pull a trigger? A lot of people pulled a trigger and were not killers until they had to be. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. But if this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku will be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here for a cross-examination. I have a right. Thank you. Sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to a cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. Well, I hope you choke on those words soon. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. I will. Gladly. Everyone's against me today. God, being a defense lawyer sucks. The events in the cabin. Alright, I don't know what exactly I'm going to be presenting here just yet. We may need to press a little bit. Just reviewing what he said. Do we see, can we clean up our court record a little bit? I've still got the photograph of Mr. Vigil, for instance. What do I want to look at? The autopsy report. We can't determine the cause of death. Victim was shot. No additional observations with regards with his back flip or front flip or however you want to call it. See. So it would be Gregson's gun though, right? The caliber of the gun. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Going back. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. Explains the bullet hole in the wall. Okay. Okay. Keep going, keep going. Alright. Let's press... I should press them all in order, but I want to press this first because we want to talk about, the time of death.
Hold it!
But there's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that the idea of yours through now, stripling. What? Stripling? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Smartass. Well, then, obviously the culprit must have moved the body. How exactly? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? Well, yes, that's true, but there's this thing called luggage. All passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. Okay, damn. That throws a little spanner in the works. And I would like to think the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. Ugh. Let's kill that idea then. Damn, okay, yeah, I suppose they make good points. But perhaps not. Mr. Susato, come rescue me, please. We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body in the sea. That's true. Yes, that's true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you really are new to this, aren't you? I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. Yes, please amend your testimony. I think I ought to alter my testimony, with your consent, of course, my lord. I have no objection. State your amended testimony now. Perfect. There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. I feel like it's too early to present that. It's too early. Too early to present. I'm gonna have to like clarify later on, I think. Let's press him again.
Hold it!
Here's an idea. Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry. And we've met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel. So you did. Well then, remind me, did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? What? No. So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Unless, of course, they've developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Funny you should say that. Professor Hairbrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo. Yeah. Yes, of course. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say. So that's his story. And I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, we don't say, Mr. Naruhodo must have murdered there, do we? Is that a veiled threat about what might happen to me if I break another one? And the fact is that Inspector Gregson's body was found in the little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin, the body would have to have been moved somehow, obviously. Transporting a dead body over a country border. That would be impossible for the majority of people. But these guys are VIPs. So there must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit there. That could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay. Right. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this letter of introduction. Just curious. Steamship ticket, SS Grouse First Class Cabin, 001, Yokohama departure, London arrival. Oh, that's the boat. Pulled over in Dunkirk. It's almost been a year. Safe in your diary. Okay, never mind. I thought there'd be something like, your luggage doesn't get checked or something. Okay, there's got to be something that proves that he didn't need his stuff inspected. Okay, perhaps I'm missing some evidence, so I might need to start pressing all his statements, right? Let's just go through it all one by one and see what he says. Because the so-called guard posted at your cabin door just let your killer pass, you mean?
Apparently, Gregson told the crewman he was a police inspector, which was the truth, of course. Okay, but he didn't have his badge with him, so how would he have been believed? He wouldn't have had his identification with him. He had his trench coat and moustache, not to mention the bag of chips. I imagine the crewman was convinced. Really? But the man accompanying him would have had 2 swords slung around his waist. You mean me? Who else? Yes, that's true. You would have hoped the sight of a few swords might have set off alarm bells in the guard's head. The point is, I left the cabin before its occupant returned, and I immediately disembarked the ship. Certainly. All I can tell you is that only the inspector was waiting for me when I arrived back at my cabin. And you entered without any inkling of suspicion. That's right, none whatsoever. Okay. When you walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun. Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson. Yes, though at the time I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I value my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose. That was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Yeah, what's that say about you? Anyway, there was no time to call for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. I soon took care of him with an Ipponcio throw.
Hold it!
Even though the man had a gun? That was a very brave move, wasn't it? My Ipponcio is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. Okay. But surely all that commotion caused the crewman to come in, didn't it? Yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow, and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Ipponcio throw. Unfortunately for you, this is one of them. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder.
Hold it!
The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. What are you talking about? You weren't there. That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Yeah, this is easily proven. Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. Okay, well, we got nothing new. Whoops, I didn't mean to skip that. So we got a story. This body was found in Fresno Street. How did he move the body without anyone knowing? Transporting a dead body over a country border, that would be impossible for the majority of people. Special circumstances that made it possible for the culprit. What special circumstances? Come on, think. I mean, at this point, do I just present this? But I can't find anything. I'm thinking either... It's gotta be the trunk. Right? I mean, we got 5 lives, it doesn't matter. Oh, well, there you go, that's it. There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body, you say? I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Far from being impossible for you to do. The transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something only you could do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Right. I thought he'd pull rank or something. Which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. Is that true? Damn, I can't remember if that was what was said before. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Oh, of course. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Oh, I knew you were jealous. Okay, there you go. I knew it. I presume you recall this, Judge Jigoku. It's a photograph we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. Oh, I'm going to be celebrating this anniversary every year. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. If you can fit in there, I'm sure Inspector Gregson can too. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside.
Mr. Naruhodo, surely you're not suggesting...
I'm afraid I am, yes. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. You son of a bitch! Ugh. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Order, order, order in the court. I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. It could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself, a man of considerable size, fits inside his trunk. And verifying that would be extremely simple. Wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku?
But inside his trunk? How horrifying.
And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense! Dr. Gorey, the coroner who examined the body, has confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. But there's no refrigerator in London. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between. Yes, I'm sure they are. But one place they're certainly found is on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages. And the SS Grouse is no exception. Professor Mikatoba told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? Squint at me all you want. It won't make me disappear. However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer! Well, this is all very heartening. I must be going now. It's lunchtime. I can see that it was a wise move, letting Asogi and you embark on this study tour. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already.
Judge Jigoku, please, stop diverting attention from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond?
Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there?
Why ever not?
Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, you must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. The actual scene of the crime?
The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. As the accused, Baroque Van Zeek shot the victim at point-blank range.
Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale.
I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling.
You want logical reasoning? You want logical arguments? The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly? I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim. That's the only fairy tale here. How can you say that? Quite simply. Because that claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession.
Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you had better explain yourself to the court, don't you?
The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim.
Yes. This evidence that he died instantly is countered by... it's countered by...
It's gotta be like the first half of stuff, right? Is it? They died instantly, you say. Well, here's a thought, though. Why is there blood here? Right? If he was killed on the SS Grouse, why is there blood spilled here? That's no good. That's no good for my assertion. Oh, I wish I didn't see this now. Sorry, what are we talking about here? He died instantly. How do I prove he didn't die instantly? Well, this is a toughie. I don't want to get it wrong, you know? Especially like this is the climax. I want to give this proper thought. Okay, let's go one by one again, I guess as we always do. No, 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 no. No. Don't think it's the candelabrum. I don't think we need this. Autopsy report. Instant death. The autopsy says he died instantly. He was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. Okay, so the claim isn't that he died instantly. It's the claim that he was shot in that little room on Fresno Street. How do I do that? How do I do that?